us, the big star, would be the real American voices.
Jesus!
All right, yes. Lost his line there.
That's okay.
A very big thank you to Ed Henry and Karyn Turk and Terrance Bates on America's Sunrise. Watch America's Sunrise.
American Sunrise, live from West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm glad you got the chat going, too.
I did.
Good morning. Live from our Denver, Colorado studios. So good to see each and every one of you on this Thursday morning. Sorry, I had to pick at you a little bit, Karyn. Guys, good morning.
You can. You can. That's why I'm here.
Well, it's because we were getting ready to say good morning, and Karyn turned on the chat and, of course, had the volume on about 36. So,
it never fails.
So then you get to hear the program on Getter, our program, as we're getting ready to start the program. So it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It's a little echo.
It's amazing. We got a brand new song coming up in a minute that we're going to tease out with Forgiato Blow, all about Hunter Biden. He's got an interesting last name that maybe ties into Hunter Biden and some of the White House issues there, because it's a little term that they refer to cocaine with. In the meantime, what a hearing yesterday. I know you're going to play some more clips later, Terrance, but Christopher Wray under the microscope, big clash with Matt Gaetz that we'll get to in a few moments. But here he is with Andy Biggs, and Andy Biggs really pinned him down. And Biggs is now saying, as you can see, that they will finally hold this man accountable as FBI chief. Karyn, he's asked directly about undercover FBI agents on January 6th. And, you know, he's mumbling, hemming and hawing, and then finally says he doesn't think there were any undercover agents on January 6th, which is not true.
I like the last sentence. Wray will be held accountable for this lie. So hopefully he's going to stay on him. You know, we've seen other people, you know, like Rand Paul, who's come out and has stayed on Fauci. Hopefully he's going to stay on him.
There's a lot of skepticism. They're really going to hold him accountable. Terrance, let's listen to this bite and then we'll talk about it. Go ahead.
Things here, and please don't distract here because we're focusing on those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th. How many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
I find that kind of a remarkable statement, Director. At this point, you don't know whether there were undercover federal agents, FBI agents in the crowd or in the Capitol on January 6th.
I say that because I want to be very careful. There have been a number of court filings related to some of these topics, and I want to make sure that I stick within what's in.
I understand that, but I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
There's semantics, obviously,
Yes.
Terrance, because now he said there were no agents, then he seized on undercover to, I guess, imply they're out in the open that they were FBI, because he realized earlier in the answer he lied, but I'll let you.
No, I am with you. Use the exact word that I was thinking. It's all semantics. He's focusing on, there were no undercover agents, which implies that, yeah, there may have been agents there. And he's saying, okay, even if they didn't identify themselves, maybe they weren't undercover. They just didn't identify themselves. And it's a shame that during a hearing before Congress, that we're playing word games here, that we're playing semantic games and not getting the American people the actual information or getting the Congress members the answers to the questions they're asking. We all knew what was implied in the question.
Yeah, he's the FBI chief, Karyn. He should not dance around. Be honest, number one, under oath. But number two, Tucker just had this comment a few days ago that in his final days at Fox, he interviewed the Capitol Police chief, who has since stepped down. And that chief said he was begging the Jan 6 committee to interview him, and they didn't want him to testify because they had things that they didn't fit their narrative. But most importantly, the Capitol Police chief, who would know, told Tucker that there were federal agents all over the Capitol.
Where's the footage? Can we go back to the video for a minute? Can we rewind? Can we find the video that we were supposed to have that maybe we could have made transparent to the American people? That was how many hundreds and thousands of hours?
And John Solomon's shown some of it.
I agree with you. Like, the video will offer us a different picture probably than has been painted by many. But when it comes to the issue of, for instance, these FBI agents, be they undercover or just not plain clothed, whatever, we may not necessarily be able to pick out those agents in the video because part of their job was to blend in, which most of us consider undercover.
And we don't want to harm any agents. I'm sure part of the argument why this video has been suppressed in some cases is that Wray and others in private, no doubt, have said people will die if you show their faces and what. No one wants to target federal agents, but damn it, be honest about whether they were there or not.
Or take some action initially and create some sort of a task force and keep things, but release things and let people know what's happening and actually hold people accountable, which they never did.
How about holding
too much time has passed?
You're right. How about holding the president accountable? So Wray also let slip at one point that the president of the United States is under federal investigation for potentially taking bribes. Because when pressed about this under oath, and Benny Johnson was on the story, we'll play the clip. When pressed about these bribes, he said, well, that's being investigated. So then this congressman says, so you're saying the president's under investigation? Well, the FBI chief realized he shouldn't have really said that and admitted that Biden was under investigation. So then he backpedals yet again. Watch.
Did Joe Biden take payments from Burisma or any other foreign companies as vice president, president, or private citizen Biden?
As you may know, there is an ongoing investigation being led by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, Mr. Weiss, appointed by President Trump in the last administration, that our Baltimore field office is working with, and I would refer you to him as to what, if anything, can be shared.
So the president is under investigation.
I'm not going to confirm or speak to who is or isn't under investigation for what. I'm simply going to tell you.
So he's not under investigation?
I didn't say that either. By long-standing department policy and practice, I'm not going to be confirming or denying who is or isn't under investigation.
It's a game, is the point. It's a game, unfortunately. And what should happen is, yes, he's under investigation because if the president took bribes, that's a crime. But instead, he dances and dances.
Yeah, I mean, well, Joe Biden can't really dance.
I'm talking about Wray. But Terrance?
But we expected that. When we talked to Kash Patel yesterday, he said that that's likely what we're going to hear. A lot of I can't confirm, I can't deny, this is still under investigation. While that's part of the political game, as you very well know, having covered Capitol Hill, having covered the White House, it's just unfortunate for the American public because we all watched that hearing yesterday hoping to get some sort of sense of what's happening with the FBI, what's happening with all of these ongoing investigations. And I'm not so sure we're much the wiser as a result of what we heard yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like I watch some of these things and I say to myself, great, so we're all paying for this. Nothing's getting done. How much is this costing us? Like, and why are we in this Bidenflation situation? So much of it is just this mismanagement of everything.
Yeah, and they're going to keep investigating, quote unquote, and then
and probably get nowhere. You know, there's no faith. That's the sad part. I have no faith about them actually having a result here.
You're right. And we can't even get to the bottom. We should be able to, but they're refusing to get to the bottom of who left some cocaine at the White House, which should be literally a federal case. We should be all over this. But this is over 2 weeks now, and we don't know. Forgiato Blow's got a brand new song. You can find it on YouTube. You can download it at Apple, Amazon, everywhere else. Well, he's going to join us next hour. Here's a little clip.
Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, Hunter Biden got his pipe out. The Biden crime family love that cocaine. We all read Ashley's diary, you pedo Peter. We know you a puppet to Obama, you ain't no leader. And we all know Michelle Obama right with trans Tifa. Why you taking showers with your granddaughter? That crime bill was something like manslaughter. Back when you was with Robert Byrd, KK down. Now you hanging with LGBTQ repping proud.
Forgiato Blow going all in.
I think Hillary should be flattered.
It's impressive.
It's a good depiction.
Good look for her.
I'm sorry, the Southern accent saying cocaine is so funny to me. Cocaine! cocaine.
Forgiato Blow. He'll be here live next hour. You'll get a chance to talk to him and ask him about it. You can download Apple, Amazon, stream it, Spotify. Jump on in. We'll play the whole video next hour. In the meantime, I've got a big question, Karyn, because viewers are now rushing to my defense and asking whether I should really watch Elf. Of course.
Because that's what happens.
This is Mr. B.
Ed, I get it. It's
No,
okay.
people love you,
It's
Mr.
all right.
I was shamed into watching Elf. It was awful. One of the worst comedies ever. It sucks.
Terrible.
So what's your rebuttal to this?
My rebuttal to this is I can see what's coming, and I know this whole movie. So I already see the clip coming in the monitor, and it's the raccoon.
Okay.
And it's amazing. I mean, this elf goes from the North Pole and walks through the Lincoln Tunnel into New York. I mean, in itself, how incredible is that?
The passion she has for this movie. Terrance?
Ed, I'm just going to say I don't feel bad. Because I was somewhat shamed into watching part of it as well, because it was one of your favorites, Karyn. I tried. I believe I told you guys this. I fell asleep. I couldn't make it through the whole thing, but I tried.
You could not have. You
tried.
fell asleep.
I fell asleep.
That's impossible.
So Karyn wants equal time. So I woke up to an early text. Please show this, because she must have peeked at the rundown and knew that people were taking my side. She said, "This will show you what a great movie it is." Watch.
Does someone need a hug? I just wanted a hug!
So, on the cover above the title.
Does Santa know that you left the workshop?
You know, we're all laughing our heads off.
Did you have to borrow a reindeer to get down here?
Buddy, you feeling strong, my friend? Call me Elf one more time.
He's an angry elf.
You know what? I'm warming to this. I think
Okay. You need to watch it
made your
with
case.
me. Okay, good. I'm glad.
Hopefully, I won't fall asleep.
We'll see.
Terrance is
made her
skeptical.
case. Yeah, next Christmas, Karyn, in honor of you, I will try again, and I'll try to make it all the way through. I'm not optimistic it's going to happen, but I'll try.
But you don't just watch it around Christmas. It's an all year.
It's an all-year affair.
All right.
It's my favorite movie. One of them. I like Beverly Hills Cop too.
Let's talk about
favorite movies.
I love it. Let's talk about the height of hypocrisy with Joe Biden. Look at this Getter post from America First Forever. They write to us, Joe Biden has previously claimed everyone's children are their children, right? They've said that at the White House, except apparently his 7th grandchild. How ironic, Karyn, and hypocritical.
Incredible. And it's like a perfect post. I couldn't have said it any better.
There you go. So let's move to the next one. A little hypocrisy over with the Spanish government. So there's a socialist Spanish minister who was going to a conference. It was probably a climate conference. You see her on the right there? What's hysterical is she took this private jet to the conference from Spain, expended all this energy, and then about 100 meters, as they say in Europe, jumped out of a motorcade and got on a bicycle
And got on the bike.
to stage a photo op like I'm biking to this conference.
I feel like this has happened before.
Oh, it's happened a lot.
This has happened a lot. I feel like this is a regular
Pete
occurrence.
Buttigieg does this.
This is who did it. That's who I was thinking of.
Right,
Couldn't place
Buttigieg
it.
has done it too. Quick thought, Terrance.
No, I was just going to say, you don't even have to go back that far. Right now, President Biden facing criticism over having talks in England about climate and then flying to Lithuania in that big 747 with the motorcade of cars about 20-something deep. And, kind of that on the heels of talking about climate change and being more environmentally friendly. But then you're doing this literally moments after that sort of conversation. He's under fire for that.
He doesn't do real well on bicycles either, based on history. So I don't know. It's a little scary.
We talk about some things that are depressing, and then you think that maybe there's hope for America. Karyn found this video and sent it along. New York City will never be the same, this person wrote, and neither will we. Get up out of that grave. #let us worship. This happened a couple of nights ago, Karyn? Right?
It did, spontaneously.
Times
it was an
Square?
organized event, but yeah, people just started walking in, organized event, but then turned into this revival in the middle of Times Square in New York, in this blue, decimated city.
Crime-ridden and all the rest.
Yeah.
Watch. mean, you were pointing out that crowd goes back a long way, New York City blocks.
I mean, you can see like 42nd Street. I mean, it looks like it stretches back at least to there from what I can see, which is a really expansive area.
And Terrance, the excitement of these young people, it gives you hope, I think, for America.
No, absolutely. I am spirit-filled and glad that so many people showed up and that the Spirit showed up for them to worship there in Times Square. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment.
Great moment. I don't mean to disturb that beauty, but we've got to go down the rabbit hole for a special investigation with Karyn. All right, summer is here. A lot of people heading to the beach this weekend on the weekdays as well, Karyn.
Oh, yeah.
But let's put it up. I think it was the New York Post who had it. More than half of the nation's beaches are contaminated with poop and sewage, making their waters unsafe to swim in, according to a shocking new report.
It's pretty shocking. I looked up, there's a lot of beaches that are affected in the tri-state area, but there's a lot of Florida beaches too. I mean,
Really?
this is not just, an isolated thing, on top of the fact that I looked at the statistics based on the tests they did last year versus this year, and this happens every year. It's just that we're talking about it now.
Is it because of Joe Biden's America? Was it better under Trump?
There's probably more now. Yeah, there's more sewage now.
There's more
for
sewage
sure.
now, Terrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say something. I'll reserve comment. Go ahead.
Oh, I have a couple of ideas.
You knew where I was
I
going.
know.
It was on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, I'll reserve.
Do you know that there are 90 million people that get sick due to water recreation in this year? It costs $3.7 billion.
Really?
This is what it says.
Well, that's the rabbit hole for today.
Due to water. Oh, interesting. Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dirty water. Who knew?
All right.
That's what it says.
Let's get cheered up again. Let's think about Times Square and the revival, and let's hear Jesus Calling.
Let's do it. Jesus Calling. I want you to experience the riches of your salvation, the joy of being loved constantly and perfectly. You make a practice of judging yourself based on how you look, behave, or feel. If you like what you see in the mirror, you feel a little bit more worthy of my love. When things are going smoothly and your performance seems adequate, you find it easier to believe that you are my beloved child. When you feel discouraged, you tend to look at circumstances. Turn to me instead. And this comes from Psalm 34:5. Those who look at him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame.
That is absolutely beautiful. Great way to get this day going. And leads us to a segment that Terrance likes to call
Trump was right.
I still love that. I think back to that day when Terrance tried to toss in this segment and said, how did we get to that segment? I can't remember. It was a fun day. It was a fun day. But that hearing yesterday, Terrance and Karyn, there was a moment between Matt Gaetz and Chris Wray that we simply have to get to. Watch.
I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI does not and has no interest in
You won't answer the
protecting
question
anyone
about whether or not
politically.
that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing about you.
Just Ray's face.
It's great. It sounds like a line out of a mob movie, no?
Well, that's what was going on with those WhatsApp messages. Hunter telling the Chinese, give me the money. My dad's in the room. You're going to be in big, big trouble.
I'm waiting by the phone.
And you know what? Matt Gaetz is right. It sounds like a shakedown. To any reasonable person, that's a shakedown. That's give me the money or else. And the expectation is, again, that the FBI director, who should be nonpartisan and follow the law and follow the evidence, would be able to answer that question directly. I get it's a political position, and he wants to be measured, if you will, in his responses. Yeah. But it's a direct question, yes or no.
But be honest and say it certainly sounds like a shakedown, and we're investigating it. We're going to get to the bottom of it. But you can't say that because no one believes they will follow the truth. No one believes, Karyn, they will get to the bottom of it.
Terrible. Just terrible.
It is. I don't know if you saw Morning Joe yesterday. You don't usually watch. We're busy. But yesterday they actually tried to blame the staff for Biden's dementia. It's pretty interesting. So we'll do that after the break. We'll bring in Ralph and Chuck. Maybe they have some thoughts on that. And the new Miss Netherlands, who looks suspiciously like Mr. Netherlands. We'll get to that right after a quick break.
White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, Hunter Biden got his pipe out.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
Cocaine found in the West Wing.
They got cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, and Hunter got his pipe out.
Hunter got his pipe out. The White House. That's where they found the cocaine. Brand new song from Forgiato Blow. White House. White House.
Yeah, White House. Yeah.
He's going to join us next hour to explain. By the way, I see in the chat, Triple Tap 45 says, Elf is right up there, Karen, with Miracle on 34th Street, which is like
wow.
Ralph and Chuck are going to comment on that.
They're going to say no.
They don't agree with you.
Yeah. I do like Elf better, although that's such a classic. I hate to make the comparison between the two.
All right, that's fine. We'll keep the conversation going on that, but I want to put one more thing on the table. Vince posted this. If you think the dude on the left should be Miss Universe Netherlands instead of the woman on the right, take off the face diaper, take off that mask, put down the Ukraine flag, turn off CNN, and seek help. You're in a cult. So the person on the left is Miss Universe Netherlands. Just happened a couple days ago.
I saw this yesterday, and it's just sad. It's sad for all the girls that competed in this pageant that worked hard, that were entitled to get that title, you know, for the hard work they put in, and a man comes in and takes from them. When does it stop? Come on.
Swimming competitions and now beauty pageants.
Ridiculous.
The headlines are sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
So when we showed that last picture, I was able to peek at Terrance in Denver, and he was like, is that a fair?
It was probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That's Miss Universe Netherlands.
You know what? And even just so let's take out the gender. Just a physical comparison. There's no difference. The woman on the right was gorgeous. The shim on the left, not so much. And again, just looking at them, like the woman on the right is a beautiful woman. And the person on the left, I don't think anyone would argue that it's less attractive.
They used to call them beauty pageants.
Right.
They used to be beauty pageant. Now they're just referred to as pageants. I do know a little bit about that.
Yeah, you won one.
I did win one, yeah.
And
you work really hard. There were no men. You work really hard. These girls work really hard. There are a lot of people that compete in multiple pageants. This is like what they do. They enjoy it. I did it. I did it once. I won. I'm not doing it again.
I did it once.
It was great.
I love it.
Well, you did wonderfully because we've seen the video. We've seen you strut your stuff across the stage, and you were awesome.
Here I go.
Thank you.
There you go. All right, let's get to a couple of quick headlines here, guys. FBI Director Christopher Wray is probably happy to be off the congressional hot seat after testifying during a heated and at times contentious House Judiciary Committee hearing on Wednesday. The Republican members of that committee dressed the director down over various issues, ranging from the Hunter Biden investigation to evidence of the FBI spying on the American people. But a common theme turned out to be the two tiers of justice when it comes to President Trump versus President Biden. Republican Congressman Wesley Hunt of Texas was one of the lawmakers who probed Director Wray about this double standard and the current status of the investigation into the classified documents found in President Biden's possession.
There is an ongoing special counsel investigation led by Mr. Robert Hur, and we have FBI agents affiliated with it, working very actively and aggressively with him on that case. I obviously disagree with your description of the two standards. In my view, at least under my watch, we have one standard.
That's actually why I led with the sentiment of the American people. I understand that's your sentiment. I do want to finish this. So I want everybody to talk about this dichotomy that we have seen. I get your point, sir, but that's just not what we see as the public, as we the people. We see one case being fast-tracked and one case being slow-walked. We see one president's home being raided, the other president's home being kindly searched. You have one government agency, the Secret Service, protecting the former president and his home, and another government agency, the FBI, raiding the same home. Now, to me, sir, that's tragically ironic.
Wednesday's testimony marks Director Wray's first face-to-face with the Republican-led House Judiciary Committee since President Trump's indictment for having classified documents. It is also his first appearance since the sweetheart plea deal for Hunter Biden was made public. Meantime, the House Oversight Committee appears poised to continue laying out evidence against the Biden family and the DOJ's investigation into the president and the first son. Taking to Twitter on Wednesday, the committee tweeting that IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley and the second unnamed whistleblower, who is being called Whistleblower X, will testify before the committee next Wednesday afternoon. The whistleblowers have already presented evidence to the committee that suggests Justice Department officials tipped off Hunter Biden's attorneys about various investigations involving the first son. They also claim the DOJ, in conjunction with the FBI, slow-walked investigations surrounding Hunter so that the statute of limitations for certain potential charges would run out. And while the Biden administration hasn't really given an accounting of how your tax dollars are being spent in Ukraine, this morning we're getting somewhat of a sense of the scope of spending on the war there, the information coming straight from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
We understand that it's more than 43 billion for today. It's big support, and I understand that it's all your money, but you have to know that you spend this money for not just for fighting. You spend this money for our lives, and I think that we save the lives for Europe and for all the world.
Despite the accent, you probably made out the $43 billion number that he claimed there. Zelensky making those comments during a one-on-one meeting with President Biden. Mr. Biden reaffirmed continued U.S. support for Ukraine, saying, quote, "We will never waver." That's a quick check of your headlines brought to you by AMAC.
All right, Terrance. Appreciate you as always. Want to also shout out not just our chatters on Getter, we got that live chat, but Rumble as well. And that chat is growing as well with a lot of people watching, so we appreciate that. Terrance, see you in a few moments. We'll bring in Ralph and Chuck. We see you every Thursday morning.
Good morning.
Welcome
guys.
Well, so much to cover, including Miss or Mr. Netherlands. What'd you think, Ralph?
I think the guy on the left could have won with a 5 o'clock shadow and a cigar, because he was given that because he's a transgender, and we are basically buying into their fantasy and affirming their hallucination, and it's wrong. These people are it's a psychological dysfunction. And we're allowing them to adopt infants, as you had on the show the other day, right? And to suckle their nipples. This is perverted. This is wrong.
Yeah.
We have to stop it.
Chuck?
Anything to get off that topic.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
I think she needs braces and probably eat corn through a picket fence.
What is going on? What?
Just terrible.
I guess the teeth were. I mean, one of your favorite.
What recourse does the runner-up have? Can she sue?
I don't know, but
this is so awful.
I mean, why not just have a trans pageant? They can compete against each other. I mean, you have women, you have men, and then we can have trans. We can have trans sports. You know, they can have their own NFL.
I guess that's what they're going to have their own NFL, because honestly, with the swimming and other sports, men just jumping into the pool and beating girls, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Joe and Mika. We mentioned this a moment ago. So Biden making a fool of himself on the world stage yet again. So you would think maybe they would have the gumption to say, you know what, he's 80. We've rooted for him. They've done that before. But now, maybe it's time for him to get off the... But no, they were kind of like chastising his staff for not covering it up better. And it's like on them. Watch.
Again, they also managed his schedule very carefully.
Yeah, I think his staff needs to own his age. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think they do a good job helping out the president. And I'm not talking about it like, I'm just saying, if you are managing a president's schedule and you are managing a president getting on stage and getting off stage and getting on planes and getting off planes, and yes, he's 80. You need to be there for him, and you need to make a pathway, and you sure as hell better make sure he doesn't fall on a sandbag. And I blame the staff for that. I mean, these are the things that are going to hurt him. These are things that are going to be played on a loop. Okay? Let him do his job. Let him do his speeches. Let him work on policy. Let him do his connections in Congress, unlike any president that we've seen. I don't know, since Clinton. But my God, make sure, your Secret Service, you're his staff, that you were there and you're telling him what's next. And it's not because, don't take this as, he can't even get from one place to another. When you're busy and you're on stage, and we've been on stage, right. I've done speeches, and I'm so nervous. I'm doing the speech. I'm trying to get it right. And when it's done, I don't know which way to go. And I'm looking for direction. So do a better job. Because you can't have these video images of the president tripping or the president going the wrong way. It's not going to work in this presidency because his age is going to be a factor. His age is going to be a factor.
The look on Joe's face is priceless. I think he's thinking, put down Hunter's crack pipe right now.
I mean, how is this the staff's fault? Why not acknowledge the elephant in the room that the guy is 80, as she said, and rather than managing him...
They should tell him where he should go. She actually said that. They should tell him where he should go. I get lost walking off stage.
I think we all want to tell him where he should go. But maybe he should have a ventriloquist next to him, and he can move his lips, and the guy can just take care of his.
They're pretty much doing that already.
But what about
then the other
MSNBC
thing
covering? Go ahead.
They have racism down, or so they think. This is ageism. You can't say this stuff. You can't say he's 80, he's old. You know.
So now
you can say he's got mental decline and other issues, but.
Right,
there's laws against that. That's protected.
You're right. In a different context, they would be all over the idea that it was ageism. But now they're blaming the staff and saying you got to cover for this guy because he's so old and out of it. Crazy. Let's go back to the transgender thing, though, because CNN's under fire for misgendering Dylan Mulvaney. Unbelievably bad, people said. And I guess the reporter also called him Dilvin instead of Dylan. I don't know if that was just some error or whatever. But Ralph, you and I were talking about before the show. I guess the problem was the reporter on CNN was talking about the Bud Light backlash and whatnot, and now Mulvaney is so upset that she has moved to like Peru temporarily to get out of America. And so the reporter was saying he is upset about the Bud Light controversy because it is a man in there originally, right?
He did move to Peru. He moved to Peru. Does Peru want him? I don't know, but good riddance.
CNN has apologized because that's not the right pronoun according to Dylan and his or her fans, Chuck.
Yeah, no, and that's what they're promoting. They want people to be expelled from school if you misgender, so they should take the hit.
If Biden
play
wins
by
in
their
24,
rules.
It's their fake crazy rules.
If Biden wins in 24, it'll be a law. You're misgendering, you're going to be fined or something.
You're going to be thrown in jail or
something's going to happen. This is absolutely crazy, absolutely nuts.
Absolutely is, gentlemen. We appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, I was just reading the chat,
Yeah,
and I got bumped out. Now I got bumped out.
Oh,
but we're at like 4,500 people already.
Still in there.
This
There's
morning.
a lot of people in there, and they're all excited to see Carolyn Ryan. You're going to hear Forgiato Blow next hour. Brand new song, White House. There's a big story out of Georgia this morning. A female Democrat has switched parties, said she's done with the Dems and has become an America First Republican. We'll talk about it right after this.
The Biden crime family love that cocaine. We all read Ashley's diary. They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me why Secret Service cut the lights out. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine,
why did the Secret Service cut those lights out? I don't know. It's their fault. I just want to get to the bottom of it. Where's the DEA?
What's going on? We're in crazy town.
It is. That's what Carrie Lake called it in 81 million. Now we got a brand new song at Mailman Media Music. It's in conjunction with the great Forgiato Blow. He'll be live here next hour talking about this new song called White House, because it's a particularly very White House right now with cocaine there.
That's for sure.
In the meantime, why don't you stick to some things that will make you healthier, such as the wellness company.
I was wondering how you were going to transition that. I was waiting for it. That's why I didn't say much.
Is that why? Because you usually talk a lot.
I paused because I was like, how are we going to go here? And you did it. It was great. It was impressive.
TWC.health/RAV. You'll get 10% off all of these big, beautiful supplements. Now, the one on the left is that Healthy Heart and Muscle formula put together by Dr. McCullough. He's just one of the best doctors out there. He spoke truth to power throughout COVID, the vaccine controversies and whatnot. And coming out of COVID, a lot of people don't feel 100%. They want to deal with those spike proteins. So you deal with it with spike support, which I took very early this morning.
I'll take mine now.
There you go. I'm going to pass that along to you. There is also a restful sleep formula that I don't really need, but a lot of our viewers, like your friend Kelly in the Woods.
Yes, Kelly in the Woods.
Has trouble sleeping, has ordered it. We will get those results as soon as we can. We're hoping that Kelly in the Woods will join us live.
She will. We got to get her on.
So in all seriousness, check out The Wellness Company. They're a great partner. We appreciate their sponsorship, twc.health/wrap. In the meantime, let's bring in our friend Carolyn Ryan. You get to see her several times a week right here on American Sunrise. Good morning. Welcome back. Big news out of Georgia where you are. There's a Democrat who said, I'm leaving the party, just like Vernon Jones did a few years ago. I'm getting out. I'm becoming a Republican. What's going on? Good morning.
That's right. Good morning. Yeah, I love this story. So Representative Misha Maynor is her name. She represents a deep blue district right in the heart of Atlanta. And she announced this week that she is officially switching parties to become a Republican. So she took to Twitter to explain her decision. She said, quote, I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me when it embraced left-wing radicalism, lawlessness, and put the interests of illegal aliens over the interest of Americans. I have nothing to apologize for. Now, she made national headlines after clashing with fellow Democrats this past legislative session over a school choice bill. We covered it here on Real America's Voice. Democrats wanted her to toe the party line and vote no on school choice, but she stood firm, putting her constituents ahead of her party, and she voted in favor of school choice. Well, she was adamant that her constituents and public school parents throughout Metro Atlanta don't want their children trapped in failing schools. Here's one of those parents.
I'm very interested in learning more about private school. I'm interested in putting him in private school.
But Maynor told me many of her former Democratic colleagues in Georgia don't care what people want, like that parent you just heard from. They only care what their party wants. Now, because she dared to fight for children in low-performing schools, she was attacked. She says the teachers union came after her, impugning her reputation. And one of her own Democratic colleagues even put up a $1,000 cash offer to anyone who would primary Maynor to get her thrown out of office. As if that wasn't enough, Maynor also voted to keep the neighborhoods in her district safe, how dare she, by rejecting legislation that would defund the police. Democrats apparently didn't appreciate that either.
I supported children and families over the teachers union. I supported the Republican position not to defund the police.
Now, Maynor says that she was intimidated and harassed by her own party for daring to be an independent thinker and vote her conscience, vote for people over politics. And that is ultimately what led her to switch parties. Now, because Maynor represents such a heavily blue district, she says this certainly wasn't a political decision. This was a moral decision. And she is up for re-election at the end of next year. We'll see how her voters react come election time, guys.
Incredible story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Particularly on the issue of school choice, which impacts a lot of black neighborhoods, and the left and the unions don't want to have this school choice where you could go to a private school. They want to keep you trapped in that public school system.
Yeah, and it's really interesting on that point specifically. She told me in an interview that I did with her that they had their caucus here in Georgia, the Democratic caucus, actually pointed to, they had a national survey done, or a national company that surveyed parents here in Georgia that asked them how they felt about school choice. And the results came back overwhelmingly. Parents, Democrat parents supported school choice. And the Democrats' solution to that was, well, how do we change the wording? We've got to change the wording instead of changing their position on the issue. And she said, when I heard that, it's like, clearly they don't care what the people want. They're going to stand by this no matter what. They're just going to try to package it up differently and sell it to them differently. And that's when she said, They don't care about our constituents.
No, they don't listen, just like the big government doesn't listen and Joe Biden's White House doesn't listen.
They do it on how it looks, not the principle of it. Stay right there, Carolyn. We'll bring in another Georgia Democrat who became an America First Republican. His name is Vernon Jones, a friend of the show. You've seen him before. He joins us from the great state of Georgia. Vernon, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to everybody.
Yeah. What's your reaction to Carolyn's reporting? What do you know about Mesha Maynor? And what's your advice to her as somebody who made the switch before?
Well, she's exercised her independent thought. She's being realistic. Her district has an issue in terms of the test scores. She knows those kids are trapped in failing schools, and she sees a solution. School choice can help lift kids from failing schools to performing schools. But the problem is the Democratic Party, when you think independently like that, you come off the plantation, they will attack you, they will try to destroy you, they will get you opposition, they will come at you with everything they have because they want to keep you in that hole. They want to keep you being a victim, they want to keep you from having access to resources that can improve your quality of life and lift your community. And so she's not the only one that feels that way. There are existing African Americans that feel that way in the legislature, but they're afraid to speak out because they will certainly be attacked by the liberals who will use internally blacks to attack blacks to keep them on those plantations.
Carolyn, why did you jump in? You have a question for Vernon?
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because if you follow Mesha Maynor, which I suggest everybody go do on Twitter, I think she's at Mesha Maynor on Twitter. She's now posting the attacks. She's still getting, even after coming out, nasty attacks. She's putting the full emails out there. Vernon, I know you experienced this when you switched parties. The attacks, they came fast and furious, didn't they? They didn't slow down.
Fast and furious, and they're still coming because I'm speaking out. But she was inspired by my comment coming out. She was inspired by others who've come out, and there's more and more of us coming. And that's the fear. The Democratic Party knows that if they lose 20% of the African-American vote in the upcoming 2024 election, they will lose the White House. That's how critical this is, and they know it, and they're doing everything they can to make it where if you even raise your head above the threshold, it's going to be cut off as far as they're concerned. They are going to go at you viciously because you're the backbone of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's always the same old story. What are Republicans doing is the question, Carolyn.
Yeah, and when you're talking about this upcoming election, too, you're talking about she is hitting on two main points that are crucial, especially for the black vote. She's talking about education and law and order. And those are the 2 points that she voted on specifically in the Georgia General Assembly, to vote for school choice and to vote to keep these neighborhoods safe in these deep blue areas in the heart of Atlanta. And so I think that'll be interesting if she can reach out to her constituents and make them see that what they've been voting for hasn't been working. This could be a game changer to have more voices like Mesha Maynor, like Vernon Jones, as we come up and get closer to these crucial elections.
Vernon, I always knew that you were kind of somebody leaving an incredible legacy, and here it is. It's growing and growing. You want to make a point. We've got just over a minute. What's your advice then to the Republican Party, as Karen and Carolyn are talking about, heading into 2024? Go ahead.
As Carolyn so stated, the black community wants a safe community. The black kids want their children educated. As we continue to have voices like the Madam Representative who just came out, myself and others, and those community leaders, it's going to change. It's just a matter of time. More and more people are saying, wait a minute, we've been following the Democratic Party for 60 years. More have we gotten from it? Nothing. I want my child to have a good education. I want to live in a safe neighborhood. And that's why I'm defiant, and she's defiant, and others are defiant, and continuing to carry this message that the Democratic Party is not representing you like they think they are, and you need to act more independently and be more involved and start voting your interest.
Absolutely. Great advice as always. We appreciate your analysis, Vernon. We'll have you back soon. And, of course, we appreciate your reporting, Carolyn. We'll see you in the days ahead with your outstanding reporting. Great report.
Yeah, always.
It's interesting. A key battleground like Georgia, where you're starting to see people think for themselves, step up, and say they're tired of the Democrat Party.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to check in with Beard Vet, Stay Awake, Not Woke, and we're going to hear from Forgiato Blow soon. Brand new song, White House.
Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, Hunter Biden got his pipe back. about. They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me why Secret Service cut the lights out. Cocaine.
Yeah, they got cocaine in the White House, and no one seems to care. Well, we care, and we're going to put it out there. It may be a difficult story to talk about sometimes. I know there are young people watching the show as well, but this is the truth.
It is the truth. It's hard to believe. It's hard to fathom that it's a possibility.
And after 2 weeks, we don't know whose cocaine it was. And wouldn't there be fingerprints? Wouldn't there be videotape? I mean, this is the White House.
We still don't know what happened on January 6th.
Well, that's
a lot of information
story.
that they're
We have an
withholding.
FBI director lying about it and saying that there were apparently no undercover federal agents. He was playing semantics with it, but that was one of the many remarkable moments at that big hearing yesterday. So we'll break it all down. But first, let's check in with Beard Vet. Stay awake, not woke. This is simply the best coffee, but you know what? It's also going to be the best energy drink. And I'm getting closer and closer to Beard Vet arriving in West Palm for Turning Point USA.
Very exciting.
We'll be streaming live Saturday night with President Trump. He'll be back here in his hometown, if you will. His hometown is more Palm Beach Island, but it's right near West Palm where this will all be taking place. Turning Point with Charlie Kirk. Tucker Carlson's supposed to speak. Senator Ted Cruz will be streaming all of it Saturday and Sunday. So there's going to be a lot of big stuff happening right near our studios. But Beard Vet is coming for the trip as well and says he's going to bring his brand new energy drink. So check it out at beardvet.com. You can get the coffee, get the merch, use the promo code RAV and get 10% off. Now, there is a story that is going viral right now. We're going to play this video. Try to follow this. So there's a man who's claiming there it is. We've reached new heights, MAGA Chrissy, one of our great viewers out there. New heights or new lows, Karen. This man, I guess identifying as a woman, claims he wants to get the first ever uterus transplant. He wants to do that in order to give birth and then have an abortion. If you try to follow this convoluted situation, some people are calling it premeditated murder. Let's listen, and then we'll talk.
The first trans woman to have a successful uterus transplant, ovaries and eggs included, and I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion. I will let a doctor who has successfully transplanted a uterine complex before cut the organs out of a willing, healthy, transmasculine donor, place them in my body. I will devote myself, heart and soul, to their aftercare. I will have as much gay sex as it takes, with as many trans women as it takes, and let the transphobes and homophobes scratch their heads wondering what to make of it. And I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion.
There are really no words, are there?
Can you imagine if we put this video in a time machine and we went back to the 60s and we showed this to people?
They couldn't even
They wouldn't even be able to comprehend it.
Yeah, and there was a time where people thought what was happening in the 60s and free love and drugs and whatnot.
That was too much.
That was too much, and it was sort of, a lot, but not this, Terrance.
What we just heard is sick on so many different levels. The fact that the entire motivation for this transition surgery would be then to have an abortion, that's sick. But it's also confusing because of all the terms. He wants to have intercourse with as many trans women as possible, which means men.
Right.
Because that's all that could imply.
The whole thing is sick.
It's sick. It's sick.
And so I think we've said enough. It just shows you the kind of pollution that's out there. But this is what they're putting, on social media.
This is a dangerous person. This person it's premeditated murder. This is a dangerous person that needs mental help that's not being helped by the system.
It's the mental health. Thank you, Karen. That's
totally.
The ultimate point here. Anybody that comes up with this sort of plan, that concocts this sort of plan, is a sociopath. It's a person that needs to be in counseling and needs to be dealing with some real emotional and mental issues.
Or Or, and if it gets worse, maybe that person needs to be institutionalized and put, so they can't harm themselves or others. I mean, I'd hate to say it would come to that point, but this is pretty bleak
and
that
sick.
This person is just saying this on video and that this is accepted.
Let's add one more. One of our viewers at the Nutcracker, you'll see in the live chat on Getter, saying, Ed, Karyn, the gang, just a new Disney show out there about a girl who inherits a human-sacrificing, blood-drinking cult whose logo has the all-seeing eye. Nothing to see here. So this is the latest thing from Disney. It's called Praise Petey. It's set to premiere, and so it's animated. Okay, so this is obviously targeting children, and it's put out by Disney. July 21st, 10 p.m. Eastern on Freeform for the first 2 episodes. Then they're going to drop weekly on Hulu, which I believe is associated with Disney. Freeform has released the first trailer, as you can see, for Praise Petey. The 2-minute first look teases a New Yorker and it girl named Petra, a.k.a. Petey, grappling with her life turning upside down when she must move from her big city life to a place called New Utopia. It's a community her father founded, only it's not like most. Here, everyone is part of a cult. Even worse, they believe Petey's their prophesied savior, not Jesus Christ. So this is what children are learning from Disney right now.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. Disney, that's why there's this movement, boycott Disney.
And that's why their parks are empty this summer, and rightfully so, Terrance. I want to tease, Michael Schwartz is coming up, Dr. Michael Schwartz. He's got a new book. It's called Fauci's Fiction. We'll talk about it right after a quick break.
They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me why secrets.
To us, the big star would be the real American voices.
Jesus!
All right, yes. Lost his line there.
That's okay.
A very big thank you to Ed Henry and Karyn Turk and Terrance Bates on America's Sunrise. Watch America's Sunrise.
Good morning, Patriots. Welcome back to this American Sunrise.
Live from West Palm Beach.
All right.
And live from Denver, Colorado. So good to see each and every one of you. Ed and Karyn, always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to check in with our viewers. They're in the live chat on Getter, live chat on Rumble, streaming on Roku and Pluto TV and Samsung and all these great devices, Apple TV. And look at this from Stephen Needham at Power Down Media. Thank you. My day is off to a great start. You see at the bottom there, Karyn. American Sunrise on Rav.
I love that.
So
That's beautiful.
absolutely
look at that.
beautiful.
And look at the reflection in the water of the mountains.
You see that?
It's pretty.
It looks pretty good. We're going to have a brand new song later this hour. And a lot of people are wondering whether Terrance might write a new song here. This one is from Mandy, who says, look at that, because Terrance was talking about Weekend at Biden's yesterday. Picture speaks for itself. You could use it as your cover art for a Weekend at Biden song. I'm not sure who originally put it together, since I haven't seen it since August of 2021. But you got Obama and Kamala there. And then the next one from J.R. Kramer says, Ed, I love the music you're doing. The truth in the day, it's spot on. It's reaching so many. Keep up the amazing work. I also love Real America's Voice. I was wondering if you would be joining the CUE streaming platform. I hope Rav will be there. And I dug into that. It is a new streaming platform. Your news for the whole team is so honest and powerful. Praying for much success for all of you. And God bless. What do you think, Karyn?
God
all these
bless
great
you.
viewers out
Yeah,
there.
and now another streaming platform. Streaming's the way to go.
And that goes. And this new song with Forgiato will be yet another hit for Shug Henry. And guys, I just literally yesterday, Amazon delivered me.
That's a mink. He's pouring it out for his homies, right? Isn't that what that's called? Right.
You pour one out for your dead homies.
Oh, dead homies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just got to add that part.
All right.
You
I'm
pour
learning.
one out. Yeah, but it's
Got
good.
that.
You're remembering these things. But Amazon just delivered to me a biography of Suge Knight, which I didn't know. Very colorful life. So we'll have to see. We'll check it out. I'm not sure I can follow all that.
Okay.
Yeah, Suge Knight. In the meantime, look at this from a viewer. We hear from these Real American Voices talking about whether we're running out of American ammunition. Joe Biden says we're out of ammunition. Maybe we should take all the ammo that he gave the IRS, ATF, and all the other government alphabets that he has weaponized and give it back to our American soldiers.
It's not a bad idea. That's what we should do.
You know, I mean, people have been talking about all of the ammunition that was purchased by the IRS months ago as they hire 87,000 more. It's pretty remarkable, Terrance. And I want you to comment on this next one. So this is a story out of Las Vegas. And you think about what happened to this guy, and then you think about the Pride Parade. So the guy shouldn't have done this. New York man was arrested Sunday night. I guess his family is saying he was hooked on drugs and he was out of his mind. But he's accused of gyrating naked on a poker table in a Las Vegas strip casino. Shouldn't have happened. But here's the kicker, Karyn. 34 years old. He was put in jail on 5 counts of indecent exposure. So my question is...
5 counts.
Right. Well, I don't even want to think about the 5. Anyway, I'm only thinking 1. But
he was like,
but let's put up... Why did you ask...
5 counts of 5 people? I mean, I don't know.
But,
how do they determine that?
Okay. So here's the point, though. Here's all these naked men at these pride parades in June. And we didn't hear about any indecent exposure.
And this drunk guy is in Vegas, and he winds up gyrating on a poker table at 2 o'clock in the morning. Right.
But these are naked men who were celebrating, quote unquote, Pride Month, Terrance. Yeah. And they were getting naked, not on a poker table with adults. Again, shouldn't have happened. But they got naked in Seattle and New York and all these cities in front of children in public. And mayors in these Democrat cities said, nah, it's okay.
Laws for thee and not for me. And we often have used the word decency when it comes to these sorts of parades and these exhibitions by, in this case, you can't even call them exhibitionists. It's just exhibitions in public. And the reality is the law says that there are certain standards of decency, and those violate those standards of decency, and there should be charges and arrests made there as well.
Yeah, I can't believe this is the world we live in. Like, we play these clips and every day I'm like, really? Like, how is this happening? There's naked men riding bicycles in front of children? Like, that's what we've come to as a country?
Yes.
I know. I'm just shocked.
I agree with you. Good news for public schools this morning, though. They're finally winning on a big stat. Babylon Bee, little satire. Study shows U.S. 4th graders, Karyn, are now gay at a 12th grade level.
Yeah. It's sad. It's true. This is sad.
Satire, except truth is stranger than fiction, Terrance.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of truth in every joke, unfortunately.
Well, guess what? Coming up, we've got Dr. Michael Schwartz. He's a viewer out there who reached out to me. He says he's got a brand new book. It's called Fauci's Fiction. So we're going to get into that. It's called The Book on COVID. We're looking forward to it. Make sure you check it out online. Terrance has some headlines, and then we'll bring in the good doctor.
Well, Ed and Karyn, President Trump is taking aim at the Department of Justice and the FBI following FBI Director Christopher Wray's testimony before the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. Taken to True Social, the 45th president writing, "Crooked Joe Biden's targeted, weaponized DOJ and FBI are a grave threat to our democracy. They are doing Crooked's dirty work in attacking and persecuting Trump, and only doing so because I am crushing the sanctimonious and Biden in the polls. This is planned election interference of the highest magnitude and used to only happen in third world countries. Now, sadly and terribly, it's happening right here in America and must be stopped if the country is to survive. Make America great again," he writes. Now, the president's sentiment and those concerns were clearly conveyed to Director Wray on Wednesday, as all of the Republican members of the House Judiciary Committee gave him a piece of their mind.
Director Wray, this is no time to mince words. The American people have lost faith in the FBI. All of our constituents are demanding that we get this situation under control, and we have to do that. That's our responsibility. This is not a political party issue, sir. This is about whether the very system of justice in our country can be trusted anymore. Without that, no republic can survive. See, the American people that we represent are losing count of the scandals that are mounting. The FBI has been involved. They've seen evidence that it's being used as a political tool of the Biden administration. They've seen counterterrorism resources being used against school parents, the homes of conservative political opponents being raided. They've seen conservative states being targeted over their election integrity laws, and conservative Catholics and pro-life citizens characterized as violent extremists.
That was Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana, and Ed and Karyn, he went on to challenge Director Wray about a recent court ruling calling for the FBI to stop censoring information on social media. Some of the specific examples he gave had to do with the Hunter Biden laptop and, of course, information that didn't go along with the mainstream narrative about COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines. Guys?
Interesting.
Yeah.
That leads us perfectly to our next guest, actually. He's the author of a brand new book, Fauci's Fiction, as you can see right here, how the government and modern medicine missed the boat on COVID-19 from day one. The author is Dr. Michael Schwartz. He sent me a note on social media. Doctor, I don't know if this works for any other morning, so you send him a note on social media. Next thing you know, about 2 days later, you're on the show. How's it going? Good morning.
Good morning. Great timing, right, Ed?
It is. You think about all that's out there. Tell us the thesis of the book. I mean, we know the big picture, all of us, but Karyn and Terrance are going to jump in as well. I'll just start. Why'd you write the book?
So I own 3 different medical clinics, and I'm a research doctor. And we were actually the first company in the state of New Jersey to do a COVID test on March 16th of 2020, culminating into 19,000 patients, 44,000 tests later. And we decided to write a book because the data that we were seeing on the ground was just not matching what you heard in the mainstream media.
How early on to this did you realize there was a problem? How long were we into the pandemic when the light bulb went off?
Probably about a month in, Karyn. You know, we had a few hundred patients at that point, and I'm consulting with the folks at the hospital who were telling me gloom and doom stories. But what we were seeing was the opposite. We were seeing that most people had this, didn't know they had it. 90% of my over 4,000 positive patients were asymptomatic completely. And that has to do with a lot of different factors, you know, CT value, viral load, co-infection, and comorbidity. What we saw in the beginning was the sickest of the sick actually had a co-infection to go along with COVID. And you would only realize that by doing what we call a respiratory pathogen panel. There's 31 different things on our respiratory pathogen panel. And we found out that, like I said, the sickest of the sick had COVID and something else. I had a patient about a year ago who had COVID, staph, H-flu, and RSV all at the same time. And if you can imagine if that gentleman went to the Walgreens and got a home test and thought he had COVID, it would have been the worst thing in the world. So you really have to diagnose exactly what you're dealing with.
Dr. Schwartz, how early on did you realize that politics was pushing a specific narrative that wasn't necessarily scientifically based?
Well, Terrance, it kind of made sense very early because, you know, we were trying to put information out there, but we were getting banned right from the start. Anytime we put something on Twitter or Facebook, any of the social media platforms, you would see a dramatic decrease in the amount of people who actually saw it. And it seemed like, the federal government, they're on television. The talking heads are all saying one thing. My staff was looking at each other, shaking ours, wondering why they weren't talking about the real data that we were seeing on the ground. It was as if they hadn't consulted with any of the practitioners that were doing this on a daily basis. So the narrative that the CDC and the government were pushing just did not match the data that we were seeing every day.
Incredible. I'm looking at our live chats on Rumble and Getter. On Getter right now, a lot of people reacting to you and expressing their frustration with Dr. Fauci. But Shar 1776, I think, expresses what all of us think. All talk, slow walk, nothing happens. I mean, it could apply to the FBI story with Chris Wray that we were just talking about. Nobody's held accountable. Hunter's laptop, Chris Wray looking the other way. Here we are with Fauci. He's now retired, making a lot of money in retirement. There was a story in Washington about him buying a big house, and everybody's entitled to a nice retirement, but you also need to be held accountable for what you did while you're in government. I know you're not a politician. I know you're not in law enforcement, but why has nobody really been held accountable? What do we do about this, do you think?
Yeah, and it's funny. I used to be a police officer years ago, so I was in law enforcement, but I don't know what law applies here. They base everything on a federal emergency, and you can see that now that they've taken away the federal emergency, the laws have changed for even people getting tested for COVID. But Fauci kind of just goes off into the sunset. And by the way, the book, even though the cover is called, it says the title is Fauci's Fiction, the cover is clearly a depiction of what the face of COVID was. The book itself is not about Fauci. Fauci was the face of COVID, and the depiction on the book is basically the lies that were being told. COVID is very real, and you have to commend Dr. Fauci in the beginning for just kind of coming out and saying, hey, we want to try and tackle this thing. But the way they went about it, it just seemed very fishy from the start. And now that we've gone through 3 years of this, I mean, it's almost blatant corruption at this point. To not talk about, especially the vaccines. I mean, we could talk about all of the patients that are coming back now with issues from the vaccine. I know that you guys have talked about it on your show before, but I see it in droves. It's incredible what we see on a daily basis with folks who are having issues, and specifically from the mRNA vaccines.
Oof, that's such scary stuff. And we talk about that all the time on this show. And I'm intrigued, too, with being in private practice. You were putting stuff out on Twitter and trying to get your message out, obviously, on the show with us today. But you brought up something interesting, which a lot of these pundits are not actual medical doctors that are working in private practice. So you have a good perspective also as a research doctor. How do you get your message out? I mean, coming on here is one thing, but have you found ways to reach out to other people and get this information in the right hands?
Yeah, funny you asked that, Karyn. Even the book itself, Amazon, if it's listed on Amazon, you think Amazon would want to sell books. Amazon won't even let us promote the book right now because they are citing current events. I've got friends all over the country, baseball players, musicians, you name it, folks that call me up and say, hey, Mike, I can post a picture of my big toe and get 500 likes on it, but I put up your book and I'm getting 2 people that see it. I don't understand the algorithms and why they're still doing this, but somebody does not want to get the message out about COVID. This book tells the story of our 3 years, 19,000 patients, the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and what we saw on the ground from day one. It runs from testing, it explains vaccines, it explains what a virus is. Still today, we don't speak the same language when it comes to COVID. While one patient is saying one thing, someone else is saying completely, a different story on television, and folks don't know the real deal. This book explains it from A to Z, and I wish everybody would read it. It would really give you a great overview. But at the end of the day, we have years to go before the data comes out and culminates. I constantly tell my patients it'll be years before you hear the truth on vaccines and what COVID really was and how we handled it.
Dr. Schwartz, you collected data, so I want to take a bit of a deep dive into that data. What did you find back then compared to what you're finding today? And I asked that question in the context of our society is much different today than it was 2 years ago when everyone was scared to go outside or touch or talk to anyone. So what has changed? What really has turned the ship for us or turned the tide?
Terrance, it's funny. It's really just the government narrative. I mean, if you look at the advent of the rapid test, that was kind of the end. When COVID stopped being tracked and you don't have any real numbers on it, there's really nothing you can do. And you can kind of see that happened after the election took place. Once Biden got into office and distributed rapid tests to everybody, none of that data, those folks who come back positive on a rapid don't get reported to the government. So the government then doesn't have a narrative to talk about. But really nothing specifically has changed, Terrance. The data was the same right from the beginning. What we found was that, look, COVID is very real. And there's a story there about, where it came from, who developed it, and how it wound up, transmissible. But at the end of the day, 90% of our positive patients were asymptomatic or mild. The death rate on this has come down to probably that of about the flu. and we wouldn't have locked everybody down in a bad flu season. So, I think viewers out there, once they understand the full story, should be very upset, considering the fact that, of all the lockdowns, the businesses that were shut down, the suicide rate, kids that were out of school, the damage that we did from trying to cure this thing was worse than the disease.
So I just want to follow up really quickly. I'm sorry. I want to be clear. So you're saying that we're really in no different situation than we were 2 years ago. It's just the government narrative has changed, and so our reaction to that is different. Is that what I'm hearing?
Terrance, the abundance of COVID right now that we're seeing is incredible. It's through the roof. We're actually having a wave right now. But those folks are the same as the patients that were around 3 years ago. The difference 3 years ago, Terrance, was that we didn't know how to treat it. Flu protocol was flaring it up. We were venting people too early, and it was a novel virus. So once you had that first wave go through, and most of the country, most of the world had caught it, they built up an immunity, a B and T lymphocyte memory response to the virus, which helped them in the long run. But at the end of the day, COVID is out there. It's never going to go anywhere. But we took this thing and we amplified it on a level that has never been seen before, when we had early data to show us that, most people survived COVID. Once we figured out the treatment regimen, proning, things of that nature, not using flu protocol, once we kind of figured out how to treat it, the narrative, at least on the treatment spectrum, changed dramatically, but the government didn't seem to really catch up to it.
Interesting.
Incredible.
Yeah. Dr. Schwartz, are you seeing anything coming down the pike, any future pandemic or anything that our audience should be aware of aside from COVID?
No, you probably have to watch the mainstream media for that one to find out, what they're teasing. No, I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we're getting a lot of COVID right now, and it is still out there. I got folks who are sick from it, but like a cold, it's a coronavirus, folks. At the end of the day, COVID, like I said, is very real. But knowing how to treat it now and understanding the facts of how to avoid it, we don't wear masks for virons. That's another great one. There's a whole chapter on masks in the book. I mean, that is probably the second stupidest thing I've ever seen in my career. But the mass vaccination from an untested mRNA vaccine, that one really takes that's the
It's
kicker.
incredible.
It's the number one.
Yeah.
It's the first on the list.
And it's incredible. We got just over a minute, but when you say that we still have high levels of COVID, it's just now we know how to treat it. And back then, the government didn't and overreacted and all that. It's painful for individual people. I just want to read this one from our chat. Leanne says, my cousin died in a hospital with COVID. The respirator killed her. She didn't get ivermectin. And it's so simple and direct and blunt, because we were told by the government, you need the ventilators so they could be intubated. And then we're now hearing, and you said this a minute ago before you heard that the respirators killed a lot of people. And then the ivermectin that people on the right were saying, why don't we try this? The government was saying, no, that's crazy, that's crazy, that's crazy. And you hear this from a viewer that their cousin died because they weren't treated right. Last thought.
Yeah, my heart goes out to the viewer, and I sympathize, and I've seen a lot of that. But the ventilators did kill a lot of people very early on. We were venting people way too early, and the cytokine storm was shutting folks' systems down. And you'll find that when you analyze the data in the book. Now that we're in a position where we know how to treat, we don't throw people on vents too early. Most people get over COVID like a small cold. So it's very unfortunate that, honestly, we didn't know what we were doing in the beginning, but we figured it out relatively quick, and we're on a much better path at this point.
All right. Well, we certainly hope so. What a book and great interview. Appreciate it. Good luck with it. It's called Fauci's Fiction, the book on COVID by Dr. Michael J. Schwartz. Doctor, we appreciate you coming in. We'll see you soon, I hope. In the meantime, coming up, we're going to go out to the great state of Nevada, check in with one of our friends, Ambassador Jeffrey Ross Gunter. He's thinking about running for the U.S. Senate. We're going to see what Donald Trump's trip out there was like just a few days ago, the reception he received right after this.
Cocaine in the White House. 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 On the West Wing, and Hunter got his pipe out. They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me why Secret Service cut the lights out. Cocaine,
Yeah, they do have cocaine in the White House, and no one seems to know why, how, who.
What, where?
Aren't those the basic questions for law enforcement?
Yeah, that should be, right?
It should be for any White House. And I think if Donald Trump were in office, he'd want to get to the bottom of it and say, if there's a staffer here who's got a drug problem, let's get him into treatment, let's deal with it, right? Instead, they're like running and hiding. It's been 2 weeks.
It seems like they're covering something up, Ed. Do you think they're covering up for someone? Maybe
Biden
a family
White House?
member?
No,
I don't know.
I think you're jumping to conclusions.
Probably.
Well, maybe you're not.
You know.
Forgiato Blow may have some thoughts on that. He's got a brand new song, as you just heard, a little teaser there. It's called White House. White House. Think about it. Forgiato Blow here in a few minutes. In the meantime, time to drain the swamp. Yeah, this is sponsored by SeaofMud.com. RAV1776 is the promo code, 15% off. Trader Joe's, Trader with a T. You think about that FBI hearing yesterday in terms of the swamp, Karyn. Christopher Wray really appearing to lie under oath about various things like January 6th and whether there were undercover agents there. You saw Matt Gaetz really challenging him about covering for the Bidens. It's a swamp deal. They know that there was a shakedown with those WhatsApp messages.
Everybody
where
knows
Hunter
there
was
was a
going after the
shakedown.
Ukraine, you name all these countries, and yet the FBI and others continue to cover for the Biden family. And some of our great sponsors like Sea of Mud, go to seaofmud.com. They're calling it out, and we appreciate them as a partner.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a dictatorship to me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, our last segment, by the way, I saw Kyle from Sea of Mud in the live chat on Getter talking about this book, Fauci's Fiction, which was a swamp deal. If you think about it, all these swamp creatures who were pushing these government mandates on President Trump and others, and now we're learning the actual facts, and so many people called it out in real time. And so I want to bring in our next guest. His name is Ambassador Jeffrey Ross Gunter, and we had interviewed him just a couple weeks back, and we wanted to talk, and we will, about the political situation out there in Nevada, because he's weighing a U.S. Senate race. So good morning and welcome back. But I want to start with this book, because during the break you were saying that you thought this was a fascinating interview. You were the ambassador under President Trump to Iceland at the height of COVID. What are your thoughts about what you just heard, sir?
I think your last guest did a phenomenal job, and Fauci's corrupt. It's just, you know what happens when you mix politics and medicine? You get politics, and Fauci did that exact same thing. As U.S. Ambassador to Iceland, we not only finished the U.S. Embassy, which was languishing in true kind of government deep state fashion, we finished it, but we also finished it with zero COVID infections. We were the first U.S. embassy in the country to go to full remote workplace. We instituted early protocols of masking and temperature taking, which, by the way, was discouraged by those people at Main State for us doing this because they were concerned about the optics. As a U.S. ambassador, I had one sworn obligation: to protect and provide for the prosperity of the American people, according to the greatest president we've had since Lincoln, Donald J. Trump. And that's what we did. And we were very successful with COVID, using smart, medically common sense principles for our embassy personnel and their dependents. So we were quite successful.
Sounds like you did things right.
No doubt about it. You just mentioned the greatest president since Lincoln, one Donald J. Trump, who's running again now, and he was just in your home state of Nevada. Talk about the reception he received. We were streaming his remarks live here last weekend on Real America's Voice. What kind of reception did he receive in this battleground, and where are you in your own decision-making in terms of running as an America First candidate for the U.S. Senate, sir?
The reception was amazing here in Nevada. Quite frankly, because we in Nevada do not want the swamp, do not want the DC elites, Mitch and others, telling us who's going to be our next senatorial candidate, let alone who the next president of the United States is. Donald Trump is running away with it right now here in Nevada. Nevada is Trump territory. I think he's up between 30 and 40% in the polls. There is no doubt about it. And the enthusiasm for common sense policies and great success that Donald Trump has demonstrated in the past could be felt, was palpable in the room, and all of us were just so excited to see him. And he understands the voters. He understands Nevada. He understands the importance of winning. And let's face it, the deep state wants to stop him. And just like Donald Trump says, they're not after him, they're after the people. And quite honestly, I'm getting heat as well as a pro-Trump, America First possible senatorial candidate. And the reality is they're not really after me. They're after President Trump and trying to stop his amazing policies. And that's really what's going on here in Nevada.
It seems like it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at our chat, and I just, our prayers go out. There's so many people that lost family members to COVID that are commenting in our chat and just sharing their stories with each other, which is beautiful. I just got caught up reading all of them.
Yeah.
It's really heartbreaking.
Right. I mean, because when you talk, just to shift back to that, I'm glad Karyn raised it, and it's what our viewers care about, one of many important issues, and you were kind enough to speak out about it and talk about your own efforts as an ambassador. And I go back to what one of our viewers said a few moments ago in the live chat, which was, she lost a cousin because the government, Fauci and others, were telling President Trump, you got to get the ventilators to New York and these other states. And then it turns out there's been studies saying that the respirators, ventilators ended up killing a lot of people. And then the person wanted ivermectin and could not get it because the government bean counter said, you can't have ivermectin. This is crazy. It's a conspiracy theory. It was all upside down, sir.
100%. And don't forget about hydroxychloroquine, too. I heard anecdotal stories about hydroxychloroquine working. I think one of the reasons there was such great success in Iceland with treating their patients is they didn't have the government regulation. They didn't have individuals butting into the care of the patients. And while I was there, I worked very closely with some of the leaders of the hospitals in Iceland. And sure, they had a very large infection rate in Iceland, but their mortality rate was quite low. And they did a very good job handling it because they didn't have the corruption. They didn't have Fauci interfering, and they had the latitude to use medicines that they saw anecdotally were working. And it's tragic what they did to people. And they died alone.
Certainly is.
And that's even worse for no reason.
It is.
So much was about profits.
Unbelievable. Pharmaceutical industry and
So well
others with the
said.
vaccines. Ambassador, we appreciate you coming back. We'll have you soon. Hopefully we'll have an announcement soon on you running for the U.S. Senate out there in the great state of Nevada. In the meantime, we're going to turn to economic news. They're sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
And there you go. The opening bell just rang because we didn't want to cut off the ambassador, making a great point about COVID. You see Terrance right there, the money man. The markets are open, and second straight day we're seeing green. I think they're reacting to that inflation report, guys. Dow Jones up about 94 points, S&P up about 20, NASDAQ up just about 98 to 100 points. That inflation report that Stephen Moore was talking about yesterday, Terrance, look, I think big picture, inflation is still a big problem for people with their groceries and gas and everything else. But if you look at gas prices, for example, here in Florida, they've come down a little bit
better. I
still
said this
higher.
the other day. I said, when did they go down? They went down a little bit.
Still higher than they were under Trump. Let's be clear contextually. Biden people are out there celebrating, Terrance. Inflation is still high, but thankfully it is coming down. And it looks like the markets are reacting.
And again, context is everything. What you're hearing economists and the Biden administration tout is the current numbers compared to last year when inflation was at record highs. So comparatively, yes, inflation is much better than it was when it was at record levels. But again, for average everyday people, it's still much higher than most of us are comfortable with. I think that probably is the bigger picture.
Yep.
All right. Let's get to a couple of other quick headlines here, guys. China, which of course is the world's second largest economy, is reeling these days. Newly released customs data from this morning show that the communist nation's exports are down more than 12% compared to the same time last year. Exports to the United States tumbled nearly 24%, narrowing the country's trade surplus of imports versus exports to nearly $29 billion. Overall, imports also slid nearly 7% to $214.7 billion. While the year-to-year export numbers are concerning, month-to-month, it appears that China is actually gaining ground, having increased its trade surplus from nearly $66 billion in May to almost $71 billion last month. However, economists believe that trade weakness will add to the pressure that the Chinese economy is feeling. Plus, global demand has weakened thanks to the Federal Reserve and other central banks raising interest rates. If you think that you don't need emergency food, you may want to think again. The government recently revealed concerns about potential future food shortages. According to the USDA, 1/3 of America's annually planted crops will not be harvested this season because severe droughts and fertilizer shortages wipe them out. And that means that food could soon be scarce and expensive. So, is your family prepared for that? If not, now is the time to stock up on emergency food from My Patriot Supply. Just go to preparewithrav.com and you'll save big on each 4-week emergency food kit you need for your family. You'll also get breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks that will keep everyone going strong. And best of all, this food is delicious and your entire family will love it. So act now and save big on each 4-week kit that you need. Go to preparewithrav.com to order and you'll get free shipping. Don't hesitate because you'll never forgive yourself if you let your family suffer. Again, go to preparewithrav.com to order your 4-week food supply. It's just that easy. Guys?
That is absolutely terrific. We'll go to preparewithrav.com.
I was chilling on my phone.
No, you do that throughout the show. It's okay. You come back in, you bop out, you're here. But I don't want, so here's the thing. I'm not chastising you, but I want you to definitely pay attention now, but also at the top of the hour.
Oh.
Because Steve Bannon is going to be here for the War Room like always at 10 a.m. Eastern. But a little birdie is telling me at 11 a.m. Eastern, you have to watch the whole show. There might be some breaking news in the middle of War Room.
Oh, what, at the 11 o'clock hour?
Yeah, I'd watch the 10 a.m. too. I don't want to sell them short.
All right.
But you might not want to be on your phone around 11 a.m. Eastern.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Right,
I'm not trying to be mean.
I'll get it out of the way now while you're doing the show.
So go and text and do all that. In the meantime, coming up, we still got another half hour, and it's going to be big, bold, and beautiful. First of all, what a beautiful man. Joe Weber, 60-Second Sunrise. He's coming. He's a fan favorite in the Getter Chat. And then the amazing Forgiato Blow. He's got a car collection. He's got a hit record collection, Billboard charts. Man, oh man. Brand new song, White House, right after
You hanging with LGBTQ repping proud. They got cocaine in the White House. They got cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, and Hunter got his pipe out. They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me why Secret Service cut the lights out. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House.
That's right. Can you believe it? Cocaine in the White House. They found it, and no one can seem to pin it on who actually brought it.
And you know, and it's not like there would be anybody who has a history of doing drugs who might be close to the president.
Maybe
even
his son?
a family member.
Hunter? Where's Hunter? That's what
Where
Donald
is
Trump
Hunter?
kept saying in the campaign. Where's Hunter?
Where's Hunter?
They were hiding him.
Where is he?
And the laptop was found. And the FBI's had that damn laptop for years, 2019. And Christopher Wray's out there yesterday. I don't know. Can't confirm, can't deny. Investigations. Can we get to the bottom of this or not?
Probably not.
All right. Well, Forgiato Blow's going to try in a couple minutes. He'll be here live. The great Forgiato Blow, brand new song, White House, out today. The video on YouTube, Apple, Amazon, stream it on Spotify. We're going to get to that. But first, a 60-second sunrise. Yeah, this is where we check in with Just the News, justthenews.com. There's Joe Weber. He has a new name. It is Joe. Joe Weber is the cutest. And that is one of the handles on Getter that is in our live chat right now. I see you turning a little bit red, like that red, white, and blue behind you there with the Capitol, because you're a very modest man, but you are an outstanding reporter. And earlier in the show, we talked about school choice and how a Democrat state rep decided to leave the Democrat Party over school choice in large part, right? Because particularly in the black neighborhood that she represents, the Democrat unions don't want folks to have a choice and send their kids to better schools. You have a big, broader piece about the teachers' unions at Just the News. Joe, what do you have, sir?
So I'm really glad we picked this story because really dovetails nicely with the reporting that Carolyn had done on the Georgia state representative who switched parties and the hassle that she got from the teachers union about that. So there's a grassroots effort out now to try to take some of the power away from these two very influential teachers unions, the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers. They're the two biggest teachers unions in the country, and collectively they have about 4.7 million members. And their grassroots efforts to get out the vote is extremely influential that they have in the Democratic Party and the American public education system. Now, in some news gathering organizations, I know that getting ATF President Randy Weingartner's name in the headlines is like drawing the Queen of Spades, right? It's just click gold. But she really is influential. And I know you know from covering the 2016 campaign of Hillary Clinton, she was almost by her side at so many times. So one of the groups that's going to try to do this, well-known group, is the Moms for Liberty. And what they're going to try to do is just work at the state level to try to get people elected, superintendents, school boards. But they really do face sort of an uphill battle. There's teachers unions just in California over the last 2 years, 3 years. They've won 71% of their state elections. And I just want to put out a couple of other things. Weingartner, she even admitted on Capitol Hill testimony that when Rochelle Walensky was a CDC director, she had the direct phone number to her. And also with the another group called the Protect the Public's Trust, they acknowledge in some FOIA requisitions that the education department's Michael Caldone was in direct conversations with both of those teachers' unions over COVID policy during the pandemic.
Point is they're in the pocket of the teachers' unions, these people inside the Biden administration. And we call it a 60-second sunrise, Joe, for a reason. I'm just teasing him. It was a little long. I don't know. It was good. There was a lot of information. I love it. And we love you. And people in the chat love you. They're saying you're the cutest.
Thank you.
Joe Weber. Check out Just the News, justthenews.com. It's fun when we get a rise out of them.
It is. I mean, there wasn't much of a rise. There was a pause.
There was a pause. We love them anyway. Why don't we get to 2024 is getting saucy. This is where we highlight Red State BBQ, and I have been waiting for this moment for almost 24 hours.
You have.
Because yesterday, Karyn revealed to me that she took some of her favorite Alabama show horse. I've got the Memphis Sweet here, which is great. You should go to redstatebbq.com. And she said after much gnashing of the teeth and whatnot, she had made me the potato salad with Alabama show horse. So
I did. I forgot to bring it. I was dropping my dog off at school this morning, and it was a little hectic.
You can't tell someone I made you something. And by the way, I got notes.
I'm going to bring it tomorrow. I'm going to put a reminder on my phone, and it will be here, and you will have it. It'll be fine. Maybe it's even going to marinate more over the next 24 hours.
I hope you kept it in the fridge.
It is in the fridge.
But don't make the same mistake as Karyn. Make sure it's fresh. Make sure you go to richstatebbq.com. It's absolutely amazing, in all seriousness. So thank you. It's the thought that counts, even if it don't deliver. The mailman delivers. Karyn doesn't always, but that's okay. Use that promo code RAV. You get 10% off. In the meantime, the man who always delivers, our friend Forgiato Blow. It's now the second big hit in a collaboration between Forgiato and Mailman Media Music. He's got a new song called White House. Terrance is going to join as well. Forgiato, good morning. Welcome back, sir.
Good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
We're doing great. Cocaine's found in the White House. I guess the song writes itself. Tell us about it.
I mean, look, we got open borders, right? So there should be, cocaine in the White House. They go hand in hand, I think, So,
but they can't get to the bottom of it. Why can't they find out who? Where's the fingerprints?
It's on Hunter Biden, I would say, but you never know. Could be Ashley Biden. Could be Joe Biden.
Uh-oh. I don't know. The White House might have something to say about that. But they haven't gotten to the bottom of the investigation. Let's hear the song, and then we're going to have Terrance and everybody weigh in. Watch.
Let's take a live look at the White House this afternoon, where any day now the Secret Service is expected to conclude its investigation into cocaine found in the West Wing.
They got cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, and Hunter got his pipe out. They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me why Secret Service cut the lights out. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, Hunter Biden got his pipe out. The Biden crime family love that cocaine. We all read Ashley's diary, you pedo Peter. We know you a puppet to Obama, you ain't no leader. And we all know Michelle Obama rock with trans Tifa. Why you taking showers with your granddaughter? That crime bill was something like manslaughter. Back when you was with Robert Byrd, KK'd out. Now you hanging with LGBTQ reppin' proud. They got cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, and Hunter got his pipe out. They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me why Secret Service cut the lights out. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, Hunter Biden got his pipe out.
Hunter ain't Tony, but you know he keep that yayo. I'm still wondering why Hunter run these foreign payrolls. In Ukraine and China, he wrapped up like egg rolls. His daddy is corrupt too, and he hates. Ooh, yeah, that's right, I said it. I don't trust the fake news, I'd rather browse Reddit. I don't like identity politics, even Brexit. I get my life.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Brand new song.
Yeah, Forgiato. I think actually the depiction of Hillary, she looks better than she normally does. I think she'd probably be pretty happy with it. Who's the guy with Joe Biden? Because I see Joe Biden on the right, but then there's somebody on the left. Who's the other character in the mask in the video?
Hunter Biden, that's the best version of mask I could find of him. Good old Hunter.
Oh.
That right there, that's the edited version of the video. I like the edited version.
Yeah, well, the edited version was a little bit, it didn't have the drugs on the table.
Yeah, we don't want to
clean it up a
showcase
little
the
bit.
drugs. I mean, obviously, you want to talk about the reality, and Terrance, please jump in, but you don't want to promote drug use, obviously, and I know Forgiato's not. But Terrance, you jump on in, my friend.
Hey, Forgiato. So one of the things that has struck me, and I'm a hip-hop head, I am a hip-hop fan, do you see a resurgence in politically motivated rap music right now? In the 90s, in my day, Public Enemy was very political. And what you're doing is political rap. It's away from the money and clothes that Biggie talked about.
Yeah, Terrance, I would say so. A lot of people forget how political music has been. A lot of the haters and the people that try to block what we're doing now and censor us, they forget about the old days. Everybody started as a political rapper. I mean, Dr. Dre was like pretty much a political rapper, right? When they first came out, and then they have a big issue with what we're doing, but it's needed right now. We're not promoting drugs, we're promoting the truth, we're promoting what's really going on. This is really going on in the White House. It's not fake cocaine that was in the White House. They have real cocaine in the White House, and that's a real big problem. Imagine that was under Donald Trump. What would be going on? They would have had him impeached out of there immediately.
Yeah, they would have been all over it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that, Terrance, that you referred to yourself as a hip-hop head.
I thought
that was pretty cute.
Well, that's what the culture calls it. I'm old now, so I'm not so sure I'm quite in the culture. But Forgiato, I don't even know if they still use the term hip-hop head these days.
They do. I would say, the culture is paying attention and is changing to what's going on. At one time, a lot of people probably weren't into rap music, but that's the genre that I'm trying to get the new generation to support Donald Trump and support the movement and wake up. I have an album called Magadoni out right now. It's actually number 6 on the iTunes charts. I've had a lot of number 1 singles. I've never had a number 1 album, so let's make it happen. I had number 2s, number 3s. So we're working good. We're working hard, and I think people are really waking up. I think people are really starting to see all this indictment on Trump and all the stuff they're going constantly pushing him into that corner is making new voters for Donald Trump, I feel.
You may be right. Let me just put up real quick, guys, G8 from our viewer Wampus, who said, why is it hard to believe a president who gave out free crack pipes has cocaine found in his White House? And right, Karyn? It's like what Forgiato was just saying, that we're not promoting drug use. We're trying to tell the truth here. And Forgiato, this was like a policy that was out there, and we're all surprised when they were promoting free crack pipes?
Total tolerance.
At certain times, they were giving out free joints of marijuana to take the vaccine, right?
You saw that in some places.
In New York City and certain places like that, but they're giving out crack pipes. I don't know what they're really trying to do here. One thing I feel they're trying, we're trying to make America Trump again. They're trying to hold Trump back. We're headed to a police state. I feel like, these days, instead of an honest debate, they rather just jail their opponents. It's not right at what's about to happen out here, I feel.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy times, but great songs.
Great songs. Forgiato, keep it going. Go ahead, Terrance.
I'm sorry. I know we're running out of time. Quickly, your name. Explain it. Forgiato Blow. Explain the name.
So Forgiato Blow. Forgiato's like the rims that are on all my cars. I got a big car collection. Just like my boy Rob over there, I got the Rolls Royces, I got the Ghost, I got all the things, and then Blow means Ben living off wealth. It's not Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's cocaine.
Okay. It's, all right.
It's that Donald
Ben living
Trump
off wealth.
Ben living off wealth.
I've been talking to people in the music industry who might not seem to be normally a Trump supporter, but they all say that Trump inspired them. There was an aspiration to be rich like him, to be successful. Does that resonate?
Yeah, real quick. So when I came in the game in 2016 really supporting Donald Trump, it was because Donald Trump was the face of success. He was the face of hustling. He was the face of having a beautiful wife. He was the face of getting money. Rappers rapped about Donald Trump for years. Now I'm getting banned for rapping about Donald Trump.
It's come full circle, hasn't it?
It really has.
Forgiato Blow. Let's get his album to #1 as well. Search him on Apple, Amazon, stream him on Spotify, and let's get all this going with Mailman Media Music. We love the partnership. Forgiato, keep up the good work, and thanks for the new song.
God bless y'all. Have a great day.
Let me hold $5.
All right, you too.
God bless.
What'd you say?
I said, let me hold $5. I need $5. This is about wealth. I want some money.
All right, $5.
Been living off wealth.
There's Forgiato's song. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back to spill some tea with the Artillery Tea Company right after this.
They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me. got cocaine in the White House. On the West Wing, and Hunter got his pipe out. They got cocaine in the White House. Tell me why Secret Service cut the lights out. Cocaine, cocaine, cocaine in the White House. Cocaine, cocaine.
Can you believe it? Cocaine in the White House. Thought I'd never see the day, but here we are.
Never.
Right?
We've never thought that.
That what's happening in America right now, you see it every single day, and it's good that Forgiato Blow is telling the truth. Check out his new song, White House. We'll have another new song tomorrow that's going to be hot, hot, hot. In the meantime, I like something that's hot. It's called artillery tea. Let's spill some tea. Yep, the morning MOAB is in mother of all bombs. Now, this is a decaffeinated version, but the one that's actually caffeinated really gets you going.
I want the rack out remedy. I need to calm down. I want the chamomile mint.
The fragrance is terrific. The tea bags are healthier than anything you'll see in a supermarket. And it's so good that you'll get 2 cups of tea for 1 bag because it's whole leaf tea that they put in these bags. Mm-hmm. Good? Still good?
So good.
Still smell good?
Yep, and it's been sitting there. I mean, these have been in here and they still smell great.
Still fresh, still outstanding, and you can ice them in the summer, not just heat them up, and enjoy some iced tea all day long. And they give back some of their profits to first responder charities and military charities. So it's a great patriotic company. Check out artilleryteaco.com. Now, among the many topics that were discussed with the FBI Chief Wray yesterday when he was grilled, let's not forget, yes, we want to hear about Hunter and the investigations. Yes, we want to hear about January 6th. But what about when parents were treated like domestic terrorists by the DOJ, which oversees the FBI? Do you think maybe Chris Wray will apologize? Doesn't sound like it. Watch.
Do you believe that the Attorney General should apologize to parents who are the subject of that memo?
I'm not going to speak to that.
Will you apologize for the FBI's own role?
I think the FBI conducted itself the way it should here, which is that we've continued to follow our longstanding rules and have not changed anything in response to that memo.
Do you think the FBI's conducted itself in a proper manner on that or on any of these issues?
You should just step down. Just go away. Just be done. Just done.
It should be done. Terrance, come on in. I mean, I thought it was interesting that Cash Patel a couple of days ago was saying, start taking away his toys. You know, they get these private jets as FBI chief to go to his various vacation homes. I get it. People deserve time off. They work hard. But he gets to, I got to rush out of here because I'm such an important official. Let's have the taxpayers pay for private jets to fly me to vacation homes. Cut some of that money off.
Pull the money, he'll say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he might finally say, I'm sorry. How about that? Yeah. Why don't we get to Sunny Side Up? All right, don't forget to watch Bannon. We're hearing about some breaking news that's coming up in War Room. In the meantime, Patriots, we'll see you tomorrow. And we're going to go out on this young lady who sang a terrific rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. And she didn't even have a microphone.
Beautiful.
Here it is.